Listener discretion is advised. This podcast may include profanity and discussion of sensitive topics. Any opinions expressed are those of the speaker and do not reflect the opinions of any other person or entity. Welcome to episode number 3 of the Real Future Podcast. My name is John Nyboer, and I'm the producer and host of these conversations. I'm also a Los Angeles-based photographer of street dance culture, and I started this podcast as a way for myself and my audience to hear the personal stories behind the world's largest arts movement. My guest today is Darrél Dunn, aka Friidom. Friidom is a dancer, and we'll discuss how he got started in the Dallas area Krump scene. Friidom is a choreographer, and he's currently in his first year as a Master of Fine Arts candidate at the California Institute of the Arts. Friidom is a philosopher, and he's innovated a movement philosophy he calls Epiic. Friidom is a producer. He has produced countless improvisational narrative works that take dancers and audiences to new places in the context of live performance. But what makes Friidom really special is his ability to bring people together. Artists join his productions because he puts them in roles that maximize their abilities. And for audiences, his unique approach to staging creates connections that build community. I've had the privilege to photograph many of these productions, and whether they're in a theater or a parking lot, on a rooftop or in a barbershop, they obliterate the fourth wall in a way that is more connective than it is confrontational. So let's keep the connection going and get into the real future with Friidom. We've got Darrél Friidom Dunn here.
Hello.
Thank you for coming back to the studio.
Thank you.
You've been here several times for photo shoots and whatnot, and it's great to have you back.
I'm glad to be
always,
here.
Always enjoy seeing you and eating Korean food with you, and talking.
Soon tofu.
So this is an opportunity to share some of our conversations with the larger public. Maybe they'll get something out of it.
Maybe. We'll see.
I got you some white flowers today to go with your usual black and white dress code, which feels pretty good.
It is on.
There might even be a costume change at some point.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe for dancing.
You never know. Yeah. So I met you at a battle years ago in San Fernando, and then after that started following your performances, and I just hit you up, Friidom. Can I come photograph this? Yes.
Yeah.
And then it just became like, I just kept coming, right? Because I really love the way you bring people together around your improvisational dance narratives. And it's just an incredible thing that you do. And I know it's growing and growing. But I'd like to get back to where you started, because I don't really know much about that. And I'm sure a lot of people would like to know as well. So where did you start? What are your first memories of dance and a dance connecting with your body and pushing you forward?
Well, my first memories of dance started in, there's two specific moments.
Okay.
The first moment was, I remember I was on a trampoline, like little tiny exercise trampolines.
America's Front Yard.
America's Front Yard, yes. My mom
right.
used to do Taibo and all this other stuff, but that's like a longer story.
Oh, Taibo.
Yeah, she used to do she had all the tapes. I was trying to do the exercise tapes. I think, honestly, if I were to really remember and go back, it was those exercise tapes, my mom, and I would see people dance, and I'd see like these different, they'd be like fitness and dance. So I would do the exercise tapes with my mom, but she would leave like the exercise equipment in the living room. And so essentially, I would watch 106 in Park and these BET shows. I don't know if you heard about 106 in Park.
I have not.
But it's a phenomenal music video.
Is that an intersection? 106 in Park?
106 in Park? No. Well, actually, I'm not sure if it's a place in Atlanta, but BET itself had a TV show called 106 in Park where they showed like all these music videos from all these. This is where I saw like Usher, Omarion, all these, Lil Jon, all these like that music videos. But I used to have this on that trampoline. I was trying to do the Snap Your Fingers, and I was trying to do the Lean With It, Rock With It. But that was like my first. I was like, if I can get this dance style, I would be. It was a way to be cool in school, right? So 106 in Park, especially for the Black community, is how to be cool. Like that show was like teaching you like this is what it means to be cool and hip, right? So in high school, it's like, yo, did you see that episode? You see that music video? Da, 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 da. So if I can learn lean with it, rock with it, if I can learn Omarion, Icebox, where my heart, all of that stuff, I'd be in there like swimwear, is what they say. It was funny.
So that was your, like, you saw that and you tried to emulate it.
That was my introduction.
And it was the dance,
and
not the music. It was the
the music.
I don't mean, you know what I mean? Like, you wanted to dance. You didn't want to. You didn't want to like sing or.
It was me trying to be cool.
Right.
Trying to fit in because I didn't really fit in because we moved from Irving, Texas. I'm from Texas. We moved from Irving, Texas to Cedar Hill, Texas. So the diaspora, the mentality is different. The students are different. Like the community is different. So in Irving, it's more of a mixed community, right? But at the time, but in Cedar Hill, Texas, is more of like the African American community, mixed in with like the Hispanic community. Also, Hurricane Katrina that happened around that time, right? So we had an influx of people from like New Orleans and Louisiana and stuff like that. So the area was definitely different, definitely changing. Whereas in Irving, it was just more free flowing. I used to do like plays and stuff as a kid.
Okay.
But now that I'm really thinking, it really started with my dad putting on TV shows as a kid to get me to go to bed. Star Trek. Me emulating Star Trek was really the base.
Really?
That's where I remember like I wanted to like do acting and dance because of the sign, like the symbols when you have like these different things with the mind meld and things like that, and how he would touch the head and things like that.
Yeah, so what characters were you emulating mostly?
Like Spock, you know how he would like touch people's head and things like that. Of course. He would do like that, or like the Borg would be like like very robotic, right? But not necessarily like the robot itself, but like the Borg would have like a certain not necessarily the like a dance, but just the identity of like Star Trek, of like the movie Alien, the identity of these movies, like the Leprechaun, things like that. Like it would be so fun to emulate the character, right?
Yeah.
And that character emulation was like, oh, I want to be like that. I want to be on TV and do the acting thing. But the dance thing became about, like I said, in school when I had to switch areas because it was cool. Like if you were trying to act, we only had the debate club in Cedar.
Right.
So
were you in that?
Debate club? Yeah. No. But there is a famous actor who is from Cedar Hill that was in the debate club, but he moved to Duncanville. But Jonathan Majors.
Okay.
Yeah. He's from Cedar Hill. I went to school with his brother, so that was.
So this is, but I know you still love science fiction. So this sounds like the roots of that as well.
Yes.
And
crazy.
And then when did you first start getting in front of people? With Star Trek, and then Trampoline, and then You're Cool. Were you cool? Did it work? Did you become cool?
It kind of worked. It was kind of worked. Actually, it was this program called the NANBPWC, the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women's Clubs. So my mom would put me in programs to like do theater and art because in Dallas we don't have like a whole lot of, now we have more, but back then you didn't have like just a dance studio like Millennium to take your kids to, right?
Yeah,
it was sporadic. Everybody had a monopoly on what they were doing.
And Dallas was in the
Cedar Hill is
Dallas area.
Cedar Hill is a part of the Dallas.
So when you say Dallas,
just want to. But long story short, all that. But it wasn't until I wasn't cool doing it. They were just like, oh wow, he knows how to do the Omarion Icebox. But it wasn't cool. I was just trying to emulate, right?
Yeah.
But when I knew that I found dance specifically was the movie. Well, not necessarily. I didn't watch the movie Rize first. I saw Tight Eyes. I saw the Clown versus Krump battle on YouTube.
Just the final part of the movie.
Just the final part of the
championship
movie.
At the Forum.
And I watched that thing like a billion times. And when I finally got the movie Rize, I was like, my life is about to change.
And how did you? Watching this movie, Krump probably felt like, Krump is in Watts, it's in Los Angeles. How did you gain access to Krump in the Dallas area?
Well, I gained access through Dance Club 21. Dance Club 21 is a TV show kind of mirrored after Dance 360. And I don't know if you remember Dance 360, But this is like the Dallas version. It's called Dance with 21.
I can't honestly say I remember it. We have talked about this in the past,
Yes.
and I did look up some clips.
Okay.
And I'm gonna find you in there.
On Dance with 21?
That show was live. That was
Yeah.
that was so much more raw than something like Soul Train.
Yeah.
I saw.
Well, I came later in the I came kind of later in this the seasons of Dance with 21.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I grew up with Comfort Fedoke. I grew up with Al Watson, the track team. I grew up with Illa Red. A lot of these dancer names, dancers that I grew up with, brothers, family, sisters, all that good jazz. Like they really helped me see that Krump could be different, right?
These were peers or mentors?
Peers, mentors,
All
friends. Even I battled Illa Red in the bathroom. He went to the same school as I did. I battled him in the bathroom. And that's the first time we met, right? But I was crumping for a good year and a half before I met everyone. So I had a chance to like formulate my thought on what I thought it could look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started finally learning, okay, this is what Krump is about, then I was like, okay. And then this is also what these other dances like Dallas, we have gig and culture like jigging and D-Town Boogie. Like we have all like the Stanky Leg, Mr. Hit That Hoe, if we can say that. We had Halle Berry, like all these different songs like to enforce the Dallas culture. So like Dallas, the D-Town Boogie is very, so you have like New York, East Coast, like hip hop, right? There's like this bounce, house code. That wasn't like prevalent like when I was growing up, right? In the West Coast, we had the boogaloo and all this stuff, right? Boom,
very
right?
precise,
very precise, or just the styles had more energy. I would say in a way of there was like there's more. I would say more power behind the moves.
Like the hits are very like
maybe less the hits. Yeah, I would say that, but moreover, like the power, like the vibrato is very big in the West Coast and the East Coast, whereas in the South everything is very slow. And so it's like this new thing I've been
more like slinky.
Yeah. Okay. I've been trying to tell people like if they really want to understand that the drugs were different. I didn't do drugs. Disclaimer, but the drugs are the drugs. The drugs for people in the city are different, right? Yeah. So people are like sipping on some scissors, sipping on like these different songs, right? So like these drugs, people are doing more medicated drugs, right? And these people are doing like in the club, like swaying, hey, swaying, like they're more about the boogie, all about that swag, hey, about this swag, right? Whether in rather in like the East Coast, more body. Yeah. They're smooth, but the drugs are different, right? It's more bouncy, right? And so that are my identity in Dallas, like Southern dance culture mixed in with Krump, actually spawned a different way of looking at Krump for us, right? Especially like my mentors, especially like the people who I grew up with, especially people like someone who just recently passed, my Uncle Disco, in the dance community, in the Krump dance community, and also just dance in general. Like a lot of these dancers that people may not even heard of, like really started taking these other styles that were well known across the country. We didn't have any specific dance style to pull from that was our own. So the D-Town Boogie became our way of meshing with these other styles, right? And almost we have like chopped and screwed music and things like that, right? That really changed the dance from being like a more powerful expressive to being more chill and more about the expression, more about the soul, right? More about how can we express. Erykah Badu is from our city, so you get the vibes, right? It's like everything's more in the country. Everything's more like open spaces, slow. Whereas in LA, the street corners like this, right? Everybody's boxed in.
So when you came out here, did it hit you in a way that changed your dance, or did you feel like you were bringing something to LA that LA needed? You know what I mean?
You mean like did it change my way of?
Well, it sounds like you're saying you come up in Texas, you have mentors who are Krump based, right? But also mixing that with the local flavor. Yeah. And then you come to LA, and were you like? Did you feel like, oh, I need to be cool again? Were you settled into what you were doing?
But it wasn't. I would say it wasn't so fast, right? So it's like I was 14, 16 years old when I started dabbling in movement more, right? Okay. I didn't leave to LA till I was 22, so there's like 6 years, or more like 8 years of formulating my movement before I even came to LA, right? And a lot of the D-Town boogie is based in storytelling, right? So I always say Dallas had a dance genre, because each city, each state has its own thing, but if Dallas had a specific dance genre, it would be like a very storytelling style, right? So there's a lot of dance forms where people tell stories like within their movement and their body, but in Dallas, especially in the South and Texas, there's more, it's very literal. So like I'm literally telling you a story with my mind, letting you know what's on my time. Hey, crumping with it. I don't just use this to tell my story and be like, here, my stories also have this different expression of like, I'm right here. It's more specific, right? I'm really seeing it as words that I'm saying, right? Rather than
versus an abstract.
Rather than an abstract story, this is in Dallas. We really. That's why my. But you know how people say talk to them in different places, and we're like talk to them. People say that, right? But for us, it's like we be like, oh, you speaking, like you really talking, right? So I would think about way I describe it is if you think about the music. And you think about the drugs that people took in that time. If you think about the way that the cities are spaced out and like the area, you can start to see
and that summer heat.
Why that exactly
plays into that a little
you
bit.
can start to see why that style looks the way it does. So I always tell people that Krump doesn't always have to be so look like it's something that is being aggressive, right? People say
yes,
but it also is very. It can also look passionate. It can also look very almost like if you were to think about, like you said, fighting, like it can almost look like a drunken style of dance, right? It can look like, you know, I honestly think about street styles less of like dance forms because like we have dance in America, but I think of street styles in general as like martial arts, right? How it was all those thousands of years ago, these different kung fu styles are coming out, right? Yeah. People have this crane style, like I made up this bear style. Like these different styles are based on regions and right, and so people can think about it, the fight, but a lot of time these kung fu styles are used as a way of life, right? Are used within a clan, right? Things like that. We do that in street styles as well, right? A lot of these dance forms, right, look the way they look because of like the region. Like even me creating Epiic, Extraordinary People, Ideas, Imagination, and Creativity only came about because when I would Krump, I would start to dance to movie scores and movie scenes and movie trailers, right?
Right.
And so the judges would be like, well, you didn't win that. That was great. Like everybody's crying. Everybody's like, oh my God, beautiful. However, it wasn't pure Krump, so you didn't win.
Right.
Right. And so they say, you're not doing pure Krump. And I was like, well, what? This is the only style I'm really working on right now. So what's not pure about it? You know, even though I'm dancing, I'm crumping. And so I would try to think, go ahead.
I love that you have the confidence, the confidence or the vision to not be intimidated by that, right? And I mean, intimidated into, I mean, of course, you know, you're young, but you kept moving forward with your own thing. And did Epiic... Extraordinary People, Ideas, Imagination, and Creativity.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And did you come up with that after moving to Los Angeles or back in Texas?
I was actually in Texas in the parking lot with Gifted and Haley Trevino, my homies.
John Gifted.
Love y'all.
Shout out.
I was in the parking lot. I was like, y'all, look at this dance. Like I'm going to call it Epiic. I'm going to call it like, I showed them and I danced to this song called The Way, which I have a piece to already that we travel with this piece called The Way. But anyways, like I was dancing to this song, someone sent it, and I was like crumbling to this epic theatrical song, right? And they were like, okay, yeah, keep defining it. I remember the day before we was in, I think we was at a
Did it, like how well defined was it? Was it?
Pretty well defined as far as like, I would turn the jabs. I would
Right,
start
that-
to do.
yes, good,
I would
that's
start
great.
to do this. I remember first time I did it, I thought I was doing like some kind of nut, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, and if you watching the Krump videos, I would do this, like, because I remember they talked about like switching hands. So, but instead of switching hands, like switching between my hands, I start to do like these little different finger things and expressive, like more like my pulls. Instead of my pulls being like a snatch, right? My pulls would be like.
But it was consistent. Like,
it was
you had a consistent vocabulary.
Well, it grew over time. Like, it became more. My Krump moves started having more of like a D-Town boogie sort of vibe to it, right? So instead of moving with a pure stomp, right, I'll like sway, right, with the movements, right.
Yeah.
And so it creates. It's still with the. I would say the whisk is still Krump, but the feeling still gives you calm, more martial artists, right?
Right.
But I think of it more as like the orchestral conductor because I was dancing epic music.
I see you do that sometimes.
Exactly,
like, I've seen
right.
you dance and literally
Yes.
look like.
So
you're
like
up
when
there.
you see the orchestral conductor like will strike and
Yes.
strike, and then sometimes it'll be slow, and
Right.
then this section
Bringing
here,
the-
right?
bringing the string.
But Krump does the same thing. You see?
Yeah. So when you started
Yeah.
doing your productions, and did that start here or did that start in Texas?
That
as well?
started here, but I used to do event planning when I was
Okay.
in college. So
So when you brought people into your narrative improvisational productions, and I know I've heard you, some of them at least, talk about them being under the umbrella of Epiic.
yeah.
Did you need to teach your dancers specific moves, or did you just kind of? Yeah, that's my question. Did you need them to execute some of these specific vocabulary elements in your productions, or was it about something else?
No, I wanted to do that. You know, it's kind of like you try to do something, you end up doing it wrong, but it
I'm
makes
very,
something.
very, very familiar with this. Yes.
Exactly. Yes. But that wrongness or that quote unquote mistakes is what makes the thing. It's kind of
Yeah.
like Don Campbell with locking. It's like he's doing his version of just grooving like everybody else, and they're like, it's like it was something different, right? I mean, now we
Okay.
have a locking style, right? And we're doing the thing, right? However, for someone when they're making up something, they're probably trying to do something else, and they end up
Yeah.
creating their own thing
But
based off
did
of.
you try to get others to do your thing?
Yes, and so
did.
like there's a few people that understand the way, right,
Mm-hmm.
of this epic, right? But I really just wanted to become I never created the shows to create the show. I created the show so people could see me as a dancer, and I started putting choreography because people said maybe you need some choreography to make the show more edible to people, so I do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, maybe you need to teach people more of your epic. I'll try that. But I'm like, but there's some cool dances that I want them to look good too. And so I put other dancers in it from different
This
styles
is why
so
I'm
that
asking,
they can look good. You know?
Because you've brought so many, such a diversity of people into your productions, and I always see it as an audience, as a spectator or photographer, as you putting them in a position to succeed or to flourish, right,
Yes.
within their own thing. So, does that mean that Epic became something else over time?
Yeah,
Not
it's
a
like
dance style that became.
Yeah, I'm like a movement. I used to call myself a movement composer because I'm more composing a symphony of movement, and it
I like
seemed
that.
more epic, right? The more I dived into the meaning of what it means to be epic, right? The movement composer is just composing a symphony of movement artists, right? I'm never trying to do a theater show. Now I have like a theater type show that I can do, right?
But it is epic,
but it's
literally.
theatrical in nature, right? It's the style, and then when you see people do the style, and I say, hey, which we love, D-Pain, Malik. I'll be like, hey, D-Pain, Malik, we're gonna do epic, right? Boom, boom, boom. When you see us do it in tandem, you go, oh, okay, that's a specific. They're doing something specific, right?
Yes.
Whereas I go, okay, now we finna get off and we're gonna Krump, boom, 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 that's specific. Or now we're just gonna do glides, boom, okay, that's specific,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I can literally just go, psst, and then like people make fun of me with my hand, right? When I do this kind of stuff like that, right? These little stops, and even like this in these moments right here, right? These things like that, people go, okay, well that's that epic, that's that Friidom epic shit. Right?
People make fun
So-
of you or tease you.
No, not at the first they made fun of me, but now they go, that's that epic. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So it's
okay.
like whether people revere it as a dance style, whatever. I'm not necessarily.
Well,
there's so many different.
This is what I'm kind of getting
exactly.
at. Like, this seems
it's more
to
of a
have evolved.
philosophy now.
Okay.
It's more like
okay.
it's more. I call it like more. I say like this is my movement philosophy, right? Because Epiic, I feel like styles limit sometimes.
Yeah.
So I feel like to be stylized, almost you kind of place yourself in a box, right? But I think my ultimate one is for people to be free in general.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Friidom, right? And now, people are asking me, what do you want to call your company? I was like, it's like people moving me in a direction, and I'm just like, I'm just wanting to dance and give love and be love, right? But now I'm like, if I call it something, I'll call it free.
Friidom puts together these improvisational narrative dance pieces where there is a structure and there's a story.
Yeah.
But there's minimal rehearsal, and you take people and put them in positions to succeed, basically, to express themselves within a structure. But it's kind of like jazz music almost, right? You set up the changes,
mm-hmm.
and then you got the right people to improvise. When did you start bringing people into this world, right? Because you've talked about you were in your room. You talk a lot about when you were young. It sounds like a lot of individual stuff, right? But at some point, you started to build this thing where you're like, I'm bringing y'all into my world, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
or that's how I see it anyway.
Yeah.
So when did you start to do that and get that confidence to do that?
I think I was always. I think you think that you're not doing something. You think that things. I think for humans, I think we feel like things come out of nowhere, but they're always there. Even as a child, like they're always there. They're always present. History repeats itself, and that's just how it goes. That's what J. Cole says. But no, real talk. It's history repeats itself. I think that what I'm creating is not mine. I think that what I'm creating or how I've been creating is ancestral. Mm-hmm. I think it is something that my grandparents may have had in them. I think it's something that I think this is what I'm creating is very indigenous. I think it's very African-centered. I think that it's not necessarily, I got this cool world. And I think I always, from playing with a toy, it looks like playing with toys, or it looks like creating Epiic, right? But that's why I call it movement philosophy, because when I took a sit...
You call Epiic a movement philosophy.
Right, okay. Because when I took a step back and I see other dance genres being formed in the world, or people when they refer to dance as communal, I think the same style gets birthed every hundreds of years, right? The same idea, iteration, or the feeling of it gets birthed every hundreds of years, because it resurfaces and then goes under. And people quail it and say, this is something now, and then they quail it, and then it resurfaces. It's like it's something that wants to be birthed, and I think that something, when I say movement philosophy, is humanity. I think it's what it means to be a living being. I think that the earth is a storyteller. I think that the universe is a storyteller. So when I first, answer more technically, when I first created my first show, 2016, I was at the Movement Lifestyle 1. I used to work for the Movement Lifestyle, and I was just a work study at the Movement Lifestyle 1.
The studio.
The studio. And then they had an ML General store, and I did my first show there, The Storytellers, and The Storyteller 1 and Storyteller 2, and then until it became Daydreamers, and then became a tribute to Hans Zimmer. Each one was different because each one was a part of like my life, how I was experiencing it at that exact moment. Okay. But I was always creating shows. Now you see what I'm saying? Like I created my first show in 2016, but even in college I would do event planning and things. You see? Okay. You see? So yes, I've always been making shows, but I didn't say, okay, this is a dance Epiic show until 2016. And
was it this process that led you? Are you in the middle, or you're in the middle of your first year at CalArts? Is that?
This is my middle of my first year. Yes.
Middle of your first year, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to. Well, how did this lead you to that? Because you've done so much here just on your own, right, without basically any kind of formalized resources.
Oh yeah, none.
And now you're at a place that is kind of a pretty powerful mover in Los Angeles arts, right?
Yeah.
And maybe bigger than that. How did this lead you to Cal Arts?
Well, thank you for that. I think what I'm doing is powerful. Yes. But I think it's more.
Yeah.
I think it's more for me. It's more. It's just more communal. Like, I think it's what we need sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
let me rephrase the question.
Yeah. No.
I'm wondering how this process of doing this kind of organic thing that you're talking about led to enrollment at, one of the more prestigious art universities in the country, and how are you working this into your process?
I think one to the first part is it came about, I think, to say it in a simple nutshell, I think it came about with I sent an email to a prestigious dance organization to do a residency, and they still haven't been able to do that residency, but they didn't accept them. But I emailed them back and I said, how can I also support in any way? And I was able to support something communal that they did.
Okay.
So I think, in a nutshell, me doing things within the community and giving back in the community, and people can walk into a door because of entertainment, right? I got the cool swag, I got the clothes on, doing things. Some people have a natural ability to, they put the look, the fashion, then they can walk into a door, they have the cool move that people like of the day, and it gets them into the entertainment industry.
Okay.
But for me, whenever I've done something communal,
mm-hmm.
it has struck a chord within the community. So whereas, let's say someone's trying to go to Nike and they try to do something entertainment, like, yeah, that's so cool, you're so cool, let's do something with Nike. But when I do something, if I want to do something for Nike, a lot of times it's more like they go, whoa, Friidom, that's crazy, because it's communal. But I think that communal and that community is a part of the art, right?
Right.
And so that's what led me to Cal Arts as an artist, is because people just see my heart, I would say, and not trying to be egotistical, but people can see that I really care about the thing.
Yeah.
I don't just want to just.
It's very.
Yeah, I don't want to just do like a fashion show because it's cool to do a fashion show. Sometimes my ego wants to, but in reality, I want to do a fashion show because I know that clothes are powerful, right? All in all, to say that as I see that God has given me a gift to flip between worlds,
mm-hmm.
or to see a lot of different perspectives,
mm-hmm.
I think it's almost like a job that I've been placed on earth to do, is to help people see their own revolving door as no door, to help people know that the community and entertainment, what's real, what's raw, what's industry, what's not, doesn't exist. It exists in a finite way, but in an infinite way, it's all in the mind. It's all happening. Just how they say money is time. People say time is money.
Mm-hmm.
Time, in a universal sense, yeah, it is money, but time isn't necessarily money. Money is just it's a thought process. Money is not even real, but then it is real. You know what I mean? There's this revolving door, right?
Real.
However, I think what I'm ultimately saying is going to the university or gaining knowledge or gaining resources is how do I live my life, get what I need, the resources that I need, but at the same time show how do I live my life, get what I need, but at the same time show those who have what they need, community, and show those who have community naturally that they have so many resources within themselves, within each other.
Right.
And so it's like, how do you get people to see themselves, to see their position, to know that if I want $500 today,
mm-hmm.
There's 10 other people who want $500. How do we all work together to make $500 for all of us?
So
in one day?
Have you had any?
If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And during your first semester, have you found any more clarity in this regard, or any new means of doing that? Yeah.
I live life as a dream within my work, my fantasy, but growing at Cal Arts is not the school. It's just me seeing a mirror of myself. And I told my professor it was the first time I found myself to be Darrél Dunn, and not Friidom or Anarchy or any of my characters, right? Or Epiic or movement philosophy, just Darrél Dunn, right? And I can.
You mean how they are you saying that?
No, I'm saying for me.
For yourself.
Yeah, I'm Darrél Dunn. My art is Friidom. My art is Anarchy. My art is Epiic, right? I'm creating my canvases,
Mm-hmm.
right? But these are all tools and resources for the ultimate, which is the community.
Yeah.
The ultimate is, how does community have resources to live?
The community at Cal Arts, do you feel like this community shares your goals, or not your goals, your vision? Like, have you been able to work within this community in a way that is expanding your vision?
This is a tough question, because even that question throws me off of. Doesn't throw me off, but that question will lead me away from the truth.
Mm.
Like, even when I came to Cal Arts, they say, "How do you like it? Do you think you're supposed to be here?" I believe I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be. But it isn't the school. I'm trying not to see the school as a school. I'm at Cal Arts, but I'm also at USC and UCLA at the same time. I have connections with different schools.
Yeah.
I'm also in the entertainment industry. I'm also choreographing for people. I'm also in the fashion industry.
So you just see it as a fluid.
I see it. Yeah, I see it as a community, and I see it as like, wow, they are giving to me, but I'm also giving to it.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm into something, I'm giving and it's giving back. Like, it's a reciprocal thing. But if I look at it as one entity, then I miss the picture, right? If I look at it as Cal Arts, I missed the picture. I might as well not go to school if I look at it as Cal Arts. I have to look at Cal Arts as a community of people who believe they belong there, and I have to know that get them to see that they belong there. But at the same time, resources show me another slice of life.
Yeah.
So when I go to the store at Whole Foods, I'm just getting another slice of life, and I'm feeling the energy, and I'm receiving. But just me being at Whole Foods is allowing Whole Foods into my world on what I've seen in my life. And so when someone's next to me and they go, "Damn it, I dropped my effing cookies," right? I pick up the cookies, help them pick it up, put it in the box, and they go, "Whoa, wow, oh my God, I never knew somebody would be so nice." I go, "It's all good, have a good day." You don't even know what that did for them, but I brought my community in. Yeah. And then they still living, they're giving me, "Oh wow, this nice furniture, nice lighting," and I'm learning. Oh,
I love those kind of daily interactions.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of think, at the end of the day, I mean, literally at the end of the day, like when you go to bed every night, those kind of interactions are what help. Well, they would help me sleep for sure.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? Because like, it's so easy to run around and just like get bent about dropping your cookies. The "don't cry over spilt milk," quote. But sometimes it takes somebody to remind you that the cookies fell. You can pick the cookies up. It's okay, right? And like, whether someone does that for you or whether you do it for someone else, it's nice. Like, and we have fewer and fewer of these connections, and I don't necessarily, maybe you and I, but like in general, right? This kind of people focusing on the money or the moment to moment stress, right? Mm-hmm. Then you can just get overwhelmed by that, right? But you don't have to, right? Because there's probably someone to pick up your cookies if you're open to it. You
Or
know?
if you want to really be deep, there is no dance, there is no store, there is no land, there is no you and me in the sense of thinking about it as practical. Meaning, I don't know if I'm using the right words, but we are doing what we are doing it. Like this right here
Mm-hmm.
is doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the cause and effect that we're doing a thing, we're doing the things. We're dancing. But when we dance, we're also speaking. So we're doing nothing and everything all at the same time, right? We're always, and so I can be a thing today. Like if I put on a business suit right now and I walk down the street, people are going to think, oh, wow, a businessman, right? What I mean is we are always, that's the movement philosophy for me. That is the dance. If I choreograph something, or if I'm putting people together, I'm like, okay, who would work honestly together? I might get someone who might not actually work with this person and put them as a duo, because I know when they do the piece, it's really going to come from a real place. Because I'm seeing them for real as themselves, not as what I want them to be, not as, she's got this hair and she looks like this, I'm gonna put her right here because everybody thinks she look cute and we're gonna do this right, or I'm gonna book these 4 dancers because they match the height of the court, the dance, like no, like when I'm thinking, if I'm a choreographer for an artist, like who's the artist? Who are they really?
Yeah, that always
who do they really need around them? And what world are you really trying to create? And then we're getting into this territory is when people go, oh, wow, that's a genius idea. Whoa, oh, my God. And then they see people who do this, any artist that sees this, what I'm saying, and they do this, they go, wow, oh, my God, you know. But no, it's not about, we miss the indigenous way of living.
Wait, it's not about...
Yeah, we miss the indigenous way of living.
It is about that.
When people don't even know it, people pull from their ancestral way of living. When I mean by ancestral, I'm not talking in like a spiritual, like, oh, my ancestors are going to help me. To each his own, right? But like our body literally is an amalgamation of so many people.
Right. You could look at that scientifically or spiritually.
Exactly.
Yes,
that
yes.
lived and died for me to be able to have this conversation with you today.
Yes.
And because of that, if I look at myself as not just myself, as people who work together, and
yes.
you as community, people work together, then I go, okay, this is what should be said during this podcast. Or like, this is what the dance should feel like. Because it's not my dance. I have to take my ego away and like, okay, yes, I'm creating, so there is a little ego in that. So like, okay, I can create, I know I can. Ego is fine. But then now that I'm in the moment, now I have to be a kid. I have to go, what would look nice?
I'd like to ask you a favor.
Mm.
If we could try to create something to see for ourselves, first of all. And feel free to say no. I've got an electronic drum synth over there.
Uh-oh.
And I'm wondering if I could create a little sound palette for movement.
Okay.
Just to conclude this thing. You down?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we're going to change the set here for a few minutes and get to it.
Let's do it. Easy.